Welcome to The Change, a podcast that gives college change agents an opportunity to express their voice. The Change is a platform created to ask and answer questions that are relevant to this generation of leaders. On The Change, a diverse range of topics are addressed. Everything from civic engagement and racism to LGBTQ identity and gentrification. The Change podcast is sponsored by the Joseph and Evelyn Lowery Institute. Please download, rate, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in.
Hey y'all.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Change podcast. Long time no see.
I'm Medea.
I'm Jeff.
You said you're really sorry.
I didn't say Louis.
Is it-
Oh, I'm Louise. But this is not Jeff. Who's Jeff?
Yeah, I'm Jeff. Sorry. B-Nate is not here.
Okay, B-Nate's acting weird today, guys. We don't know what's going on.
I'm not acting weird. Just the topics we're talking about, first you have to listen. So I said I was going to be quiet first and then respond. I just said, shut up.
Well, we want the opinion from a male's point of view.
I will give my
Of the things
opinion,
that are going
but
on to women today.
I will give my
Some heavy
opinion.
topics today.
Okay, I will give my opinion, but to find a solution, you first must listen. I think that's the problem. Even in friendships and everything, we don't listen first and then give our opinion. We just hear certain keywords and then respond, and then it becomes a bigger situation than what it was in the beginning. So I'm going to listen, hear what you guys' viewpoints are, and then respond. So I'm gonna be quiet.
Finals coming up. Stressed out, tired. I'm so happy next week is the last week of school. I think I'm burnt out this semester. I'm not gonna lie.
Yesterday was the last day of classes.
What else? You told them last week. You might as well. Last time was on the podcast. You might as well tell them now. Where are you gonna be at next year?
No, we can talk about that another day. We're not gonna talk about that right now.
I'm losing my good friend.
Yesterday was the last day of classes, so Medea is officially a junior. B-Nate is gonna be a graduating senior. Hold on.
Although we go to the end of the road.
It's all coming to
Are you gonna go to grad school, you think?
Yes.
At Morris?
We don't have a grad program.
Oh, well, that sucks. Clark does.
You got.
Where are you gonna go for a grad school? Have you thought about that one?
Hampton. Let's see. Howard, University of Michigan.
I would say Howard. I like
Manhattan. It's a couple of places. Overland. I want to go possibly to a conservatory, but I do want the HBC experience. So it's either or.
Okay, still in the works, but it is getting worked on.
We only got the summer to plan before I say applications.
Right. We better get some application fees together. I think that's such a scam.
having to pay for applications.
Yes, I'm
And
trying
you have to pay for application fees. Then you have to pay to get into the school.
You have to pay to send your transcripts to the school.
And then you have to pay when you leave out the school.
Like, this is the money getter. I don't like this. Like, do y'all not understand? We are broke
$588 to get into
college students out here. Huh? Oh, for the confirmation fee, yes. It was like $474 or something for Clark. If you paid that, I love you though. Welcome to Clark Atlanta. Do you guys know anybody that posted their decision day for your school?
No.
Like incoming student?
Mm-hmm.
I liked and commented on a lot of the girls that did, and one of the girls reached out to me, so we've been talking. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
She was saying that she's nervous for coming somewhere that's so competitive, and she's just saying how she feels like she's not gonna be able to keep up. But I was like, you have to kill that mindset before you come, or you're gonna sink.
That's why
you're in a place that is super elite, and there's girls that are doing big things, there's girls that are super pretty, and I was like, if you keep comparing yourself, you're never gonna appreciate yourself.
I tell new incoming students, it's not as hard as it seems. It seems very hard, and it is very hard, but the way you adapt is going to be
It's almost
easier
like you just
than
do
you.
it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think about how hard it is. You just take it
Yeah.
on and you do it. And I feel like that. Like, there's been so many tribulations with this year, but it's like you just move. You grow. You literally
Yeah.
grow through it. Like, you just move through it.
Literally find a way and make one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into topics. So the first topic that we're going to be talking about today is the sexual assault incidents within the AUC. It's been a huge thing at Spelman within the last few weeks. There was a protest last Monday that I attended. It was very powerful, to say the least. There were several Morehouse men there in solidarity. Shout out to the self-defense coach at Spelman that spoke out about the power of self-defense and the importance of men speaking on this issue. And he definitely harped on the fact that this is not a woman's issue, but this is a men's issue and an everyone issue.
Right.
So yeah. What are you guys' thoughts?
So let's speak a little bit more on the topic. So allegedly a man at Morehouse spiked a girl's drink while they were out, and she allegedly saying he raped her. And there's video evidence of him spiking her drink. I just think it's very sad. She stated that he tried to get her kicked off of campus when it was a lot of creepy things going on the other way. And I think it needs to open eyes for staff and people that are over the security to look at both sides and not just the first side that comes to you first. You need to look at the bigger picture and figure out what's really going on.
I also know that she wasn't the only victim of his. There were several other girls that
Bless me.
Excuse me, thank you. There were several other girls that stood up and came out and said that they had the same perpetrator. So that's even bigger, is that, you know, she was allegedly kicked off Morehouse's campus because she was lying on his name, but then several other girls came forward. I mean, he was seen walking on Spelman's campus the same week that.
Now I want to clarify, this is not Morehouse men. I don't want to put this a bad title on Morehouse, because this is not Morehouse men.
Right.
This is just a situation that happened with a man. He just happens to go to Morehouse. I wouldn't put this on Morehouse men. Morehouse men do not scare me. It's not like that. It's just a man. He just happened to go to Morehouse. Yeah, I hope that girl, you know, I hope she's good in all places, physically. Hope she went to the doctor. Hope everything's okay.
I was walking through the parking garage yesterday, the Morehouse parking garage that leads to Spelman, and in the parking garage right now, there are papers of people's stories like posted all around the stairwell that leads to Spelman. And I was walking back with one of my friends, and we were just reading the papers, and it is very heavy, and it is very deep. But I mean, even that was a form of protest in itself. People know that guys and girls walk through that staircase all the time.
Right.
And it's just like a reminder to be vigilant.
Right.
My friend was like, this is like the stuff I'm talking, like, this is literally why I'm walking you back to campus, because this is the kind of stuff that happens.
Yeah.
So I think another thing too that needs to be talked about is like how we stand around and support these people as men of Morehouse. Again, like, just because this is not you or this is not your friends, it doesn't mean that you don't take active precautions to ensure that things like this aren't happening to the woman in your life. One of the situations was, you know, this girl was sexually assaulted, and she told her Morehouse brother, expecting him to kind of help her and stand in solidarity with her, and he did nothing. He wouldn't help her, and he was asked to testify on her case, and he didn't testify. So I think that's just a prime example of like how easy it is to just stand in solidarity and be there.
Yeah, and to the young women coming to Atlanta away from home, you know, make sure you guys are being safe out here. Don't leave your cup anywhere, walk away and come back to it and drink it again. Like, really learn safety rules, safety things that you should know. Like, it's not 100% safe out here, just as it isn't safe where you're at.
And I think something that was said during the protest that stuck with me is that this culture of victim blaming has to stop.
Mhm.
Saying you should have been out, you shouldn't have been drunk, you shouldn't have had that much out. That's victim blaming. Anyone should be able to go out and live the life of a teenager
Mhm.
without having to worry about being abused.
Right.
To blame it on someone and say that they should have taken the precautions is taking away from the fact that there are sick people out here.
Which is the reason victims don't stand up for themselves.
Exactly.
And that shouldn't be the case. Everyone should stand up for what happens to them.
Exactly.
Don't be, I feel like F the haters, okay? F people that are gonna blame the victims. Don't let it get to your head because you need justice for what happened to you. It's not okay.
And there's nothing that you being under a certain influence does not change the fact that the person who is sick
Yeah.
and,
It doesn't
and decided to take
justify-
advantage of someone is not who they
Yeah.
are. That's who that person is at the end of the day.
Yeah. Got anything to say? We would like to hear from men's perspective.
You know, you got to choose your words carefully with this. This is a sensitive topic. And you also don't want to come off as mansplaining or anything of that sort. First, I would just like to say, like, number one, you guys are, I feel like for the most part, have been saying everything correctly about understanding. One, as Morehouse men, you know, we already have like the label of being Morehouse. Like we're in anywhere you go, you technically are an ambassador of Morehouse. That's what our president says. So doing something wrong or harmful or anything of that form of fashion, it's always going to get shined on the light. Number one, the article is not going to say your name first. The article is going to say student at Morehouse, Morehouse man. Your name probably won't pop up until page 2. So let's just be very mindful of things we do. Now with this certain situation of dealing with women, they are 100% right. There are sick men and women out there, or however you identify yourself as, and you are, you know, you should have the right to live a teenager life. Now, personally for me, I don't drink or don't smoke, I do none of that. And I see how victim blaming is a terrible situation to where and what I said in the beginning, you first need to listen to a person to help find a way or a solution so that they can, one, feel like they've been heard, two, that this situation has is an emotion to where you have found comfort or a calm state or whatever that person needs have got it. Maybe along the lines you talk about things that you wish that they could have done better, but in that moment and in that time, you know, you need to be there. So I feel sorry for the young lady that had a Morehouse brother didn't speak on her behalf. But I am a person that also looks at both sides of the spectrum, and the other side of the spectrum, dealing with that personal situation, we don't know if that young man has been, you know, assaulted himself and even trying to go up to the stand. And it's like, he's not testifying about the girl's story, but now he's testifying on his own behalf. And that can also bring trauma to him. Now, I'm not saying like she is in the wrong or he's in the wrong. I'm just saying that in that circumstance, looking from both sides of the spectrum,
You don't know the full story.
You don't know the full story.
Right.
So I won't speak on things, but I would just say he could probably have things as a child that's like going to the stand and speaking on her behalf. It's not going to pour out into this girl's story. And it's like, he's not crying for his sister being abused, but he's also crying because he was abused as a child.
Right.
So it's like looking at that aspect, and even with like this drinking situation, one, that young man is in the wrong. The video has spread like wildfire around the whole AUC.
And further.
And now it's like,
Did you know the young man?
no.
Oh,
I knew the young man.
oh, you do?
Like through friends.
Yeah. So now it's like one is it's what's it called? There's been
Can I ask him, please? Did he look like the type to do something like that?
I'm never gonna say anyone physically. I think that's like almost. I would never say that anyone physically like looks like a weirdo. I feel like that's wrong to say. But I will say that I know comments that he said to people close to me that were very inappropriate. If you guys didn't know, he's a freshman student staying in Du Bois and he's 21 years old. And I had a friend at the beginning of the school year who was 17. And he would just tell her all the time, like, I can't wait for you to turn 18. So when the stuff came out about him, I won't say that he looks like it, but it wasn't a surprise. Because talks of those kind of things and of him doing those kind of things have been rumored since new student orientation.
Okay.
So that's why this is such a big thing, because the young lady has been fighting for this since the beginning of the school year. People have known that this is the kind of man that he is since the beginning of the school year. So the fact that it's May and this is just coming out and this is just being resolved is absolutely ridiculous. Another thing that was talked about at the protest was visitation. And this is actually talked about from a Spelman student. I know we've talked about security on the podcast before. And one of the young ladies said there's a reason that Spelman closes our gates at 12 a.m. And kind of relating the fact that like Morehouse has less strict policies to the fact that these kind of things can happen. Personally, I completely disagree with that sentiment. Anything can happen at any kind of day, any time of day. It doesn't have to be 3 a.m. for someone to get raped or sexually assaulted. Someone could get sexually assaulted at 6 p.m. at the beginning of visitation. It doesn't matter. I don't like the idea that you have to set up a certain circumstance for something like that to happen. I think that's another form of victim blaming. So I did kind of want to speak out on that because it perpetuates this narrative that you have to be a certain kind of girl or you have to be doing certain kind of things for these kind of acts to take place. Again, sick people are going to be sick people. If they want to take advantage of you at 6 p.m., they're going to do it. If they want to take advantage of you at 3 p.m., they're going to do it. Doesn't matter what time it is. If they have that control over you in that moment, they're going to do that.
And gates closing at Spelman just means nobody can come, no like visitors, or that means you guys have to be home by 12 or
so nobody can come in at 12 a.m., but we're free to go out.
Okay.
We're free to
if you have a Spelman ID card, can you come back in? Oh, okay.
I would just like to say this before we continue. It might look like I'm uncomfortable with like talking about this topic or anything of this sort. I'm just being quiet. I'm gonna state it one more time. And you might get a comment that says like, oh, he looks uncomfortable, but women are uncomfortable all the time in certain situations. I completely understand that. But we using this time or this platform to first like let people talk and find solutions on how we can better our institution. So I'm gonna keep being quiet. And when they ask me to talk, that's when I'll speak. But I think they're giving great viewpoints. I think they're saying what needs to be said. And all I can do is try to be an ally or a person that can help or a person that can shut up, but still being a problem to the issue because I'm quiet. So
I think another thing too is that frustrates me is people, like a lot of people's first responses, and a lot of young men, they stand in solidarity, but one of the first things that comes out of their mouth is like, I hope they're not lying. I hope she wouldn't lie about something like this.
Okay, well,
I also think there's a lot of allegations that have came out to be.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's true.
I only
you should believe the victim first. That shouldn't be the first thing out of your mouth.
Okay, so I'm speaking about this only, and I had to interrupt you because this podcast is an unbiased podcast. And I think we should always look from both sides of the spectrum, even though we understand that the concept is we should always believe the victim first about what has gone on. We should also know that motive can also lead into someone being guilty of a crime that they're not guilty for. And so, like, we always talk about what happened to the whole story, like what actually happens. But sometimes the narrative gets pushed to where we never hear the whole story. And it's like, well, I heard something about you about doing this, and this person could probably not done nothing at all, just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. And all of a sudden they're being blamed. And it comes back to what you were saying about victim blaming. This person is probably not even a victim, but it's already getting blamed about situations that has nothing to do with
But
it.
historically, there have been situations where people were for sure the victim and people painted them as a liar. And now they've gone through not only being a victim of this, but then being accused of a liar, all for it to be true.
And there's
I think-
historically where Black men have been called out for this. For instance, the situation in New York that's went publicly and made a whole bunch of money off Netflix about those young men that supposedly raped that white woman, and by being in the wrong park. And all of a sudden, what happened?
They were free in the end.
And free in the end, and now it's like Florida State, the quarterback, he lost his whole scholarship because his girlfriend said he raped and beat her. And then years later, she comes out and said, I want to apologize because I didn't believe it was going to go that far. Now the young man's football career is ruined. He didn't have nothing as a plan B. And all of a sudden, he could have been the next, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, but he didn't get those opportunities. So that's what I'm saying. If we're going to go into the, we're going to continue to go with this. And like I said before, I agree with what y'all were saying. But let's also, as we could push for trying to find solutions, let's not be right or left. Let's be middle.
I don't think that both sides shouldn't be explored. I just think as a man, and again, this is an issue where the men are perpetrators. I don't think that the first thing out of a man's mouth should be, I hope she's not lying. The first thing should be out of your mouth is support and solidarity.
I think America embeds it in us too to not believe the victim when it comes to innocent until proven guilty. So I believe both sides. I believe the victim, but I also believe look at both sides, because the American way is everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So I feel like just as much as we can't not believe the victim, we can't not believe the perpetrator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we run out of time.
Just continuing in the same round of violence against women. Yesterday, there was an active shooter in Midtown, who all of his victims were women.
So, and this man was on the loose.
Yes,
for hours on hours.
So I was at spell reads when it started. So that would have been about 12:30-ish, 12:45. And I don't remember it was nighttime when my friend said that they had finally got him.
I didn't get that email from Clark that he was trying to make me. I got off from work at 8.
I was at the library. So
maybe 9 o'clock.
Yeah, probably 9 o'clock. So it's almost 12. It's like,
and I live in Midtown.
Yeah, that's at least 10 hours.
Active shooter on the loose.
So you work in Midtown?
No, I just live in Midtown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I live.
So how did that? I mean, I know. So I was on my way back to Spelman, so I knew that I was safe within the gates. But as
thankfully, I came from school and went straight to work, and I don't work in Midtown, so I went straight to work. I could have went home before work, but I actually asked my job to come in earlier, so I wouldn't even have to go that way because I didn't want to deal with it.
Oh, that's good.
That's really smart.
Yeah, I said I just want to come in early to work because I didn't want to go back home. I didn't even know really until my aunties and everybody was calling me like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm okay." And I started I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, I was on the bus to Spell Reads, and the site leader stood up and she was like, just so everyone knows, there's an active shooter in Midtown. And at this time, there were already 4 people shot and 1 killed. I mean, and it had just started, if I'm not mistaken.
And for reference, we're 5 minutes from Midtown.
Yeah, we're not far at all. And so the site leader was just saying, like, if you can stay on campus, like, and not to leave the gates, because again, this goes back to our talks about Spelman security. But if there was ever any issue, I know I'm good at school.
Yeah.
If there's one place I can be, I know I can be at school because I'm good there.
Yeah. Yeah. Very tragic. It was all women. Very tragic that he was on the loose for so long. He literally hijacked somebody's car and was still on the loose. I don't understand.
Another thing that has surprised me more is that when you think of mass shooters, I always think of white men.
Right.
And I feel like this is like the second or third situation where you see a Black man who's being a mass shooter. So that's interesting to me that's kind of changing.
I'm happy that we're going to get justice, and it's not he commits suicide, and there it is there.
That's
so I am happy the women are going to be able to get justice, because a lot of mass shootings, they just kill themselves right there and there's no justice to be served.
Right.
I would just like to say, we're praying for the people and their families. That it was a traumatic thing. We thought that it was our last day of classes, but sometimes it was other people's last day of their lives, and
Right.
and it was sad, just to hear about the situation, to get calls while we're in class, and even trying to like move forward or even try to do certain things. People were nervous to even leave their rooms, their classrooms, or even do certain things. Like I know people personally didn't want to do their projects because they're like, I need to go blase here.
Practices got shut down.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we will send our condolences to you guys and your families. We don't know who you are, but you do matter to somebody. So
Right.
Yeah, it definitely, living somewhere like Atlanta, you guys know I'm from Delaware, so things like this are not common at all. Stuff like that would like break the news if it happened in Delaware, but being somewhere like Atlanta in a bigger city, it's definitely taken some getting used to hearing about stuff like that. I would say that I never heard the sound of gunshots until I was in Atlanta at the library, actually. So, yeah, it's just very important to stay vigilant and to be safe and to, know your surroundings and have always have an escape plan. And I think that, it brings up a larger issue of gun violence and the lack of gun control within the United States.
I feel like what sucks for me is me coming from California, there's not a lot of African American. There is, but it's not as much as in Atlanta, where it's basically 90% African in my eyes. And I feel like in Atlanta, I feel like everybody is family. I feel like that's just our culture. It's just everybody is family. So even though I don't know these women, I personally feel a connection to the women because we're all in Atlanta, and I feel like everyone in Atlanta
is interconnected.
Yeah, it's interconnected in some type of way.
Yeah. I agree. It definitely hits home. After seeing that it was all women, it just broke my heart, especially with the sexual assault stuff coming out. It just really puts into perspective the lives that women have to live. Like we're constantly battling for our livelihood, and it sucks, and it's heavy.
We always got to try 10 times harder than everybody else. We always have to put in 10 times more effort.
Especially as Black women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other sentiments? Just be safe out there, you guys. Always keep your head on a swivel. Always pay attention.
Stay vigilant. I hate to say this, but just be mindful of who you're interacting with. It might sound good, but it's not always good. Just remember that people are capable of anything. And yeah.
That concludes it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Be safe, you guys. We love you guys.
Is this the last one?
Yeah.
From the trio. So
nobody will ever.
Oh, congratulations to Charlie.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations.
Charlie, yes.
But yeah, this is the last one. Sorry it had to be sad.
Yeah.
It's the end of the year.
Yes.
No more classes.
Winding down. Finals is happening. Don't be afraid to hit any of us up for school. If you're incoming freshman, if you're incoming transfer, do not be scared to hit us up. We are cool. I promise.
Let's shout our Instagrams out so they can know.
Okay.
My Instagram is at e.leesampson. ELISESAMPSON.
Jeff JEFF.
Okay.
Underscore that man. I know, but it's 313_VNate. That's my Instagram.
And mine is Medea, spelled MADAYA. 2 more A's at the end and underscore. Don't be afraid to hit me up. I'm really cool, I promise.
If you guys have any questions, just let us know.
We love you.
Bye, y'all.